What it do, YouTube? It's your boy, Stank815, and I'm back with another video. Y'all new to the channel, man. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe, share, comment. Get notified when I drop the video. That's right. Y'all wanted it. Y'all getting it. I'm back doing reaction videos. Man. You know what? I like doing the reaction videos, so therefore, I'm back, and I'm gonna do reaction videos. But today, we're gonna be reacting to a well-known YouTuber, and y'all can look him up. He doing like video of my city. I'm from Rockford, Illinois. That's right, I'm from Rockford, Illinois, born and raised. So I'm gonna do a reaction to this, and I'm gonna let y'all know how I feel and if it's true or not. Let's get it. Rockford, Illinois.
All over Rockford. Just old shells of their former selves. Used to be important.
I remember that place.
I get a lot of emails from people. For years now, you guys have been saying, Nick, how come you've never gone to Rockford, Illinois? It's terrible there. Just
True.
the type of place you always like to go to.
You can see, you got the watch factory right there. And then off on the horizon, you've got just tons of abandoned stuff. It just goes on and on and on down the horizon. As far as you can see in every direction, it's abandoned.
Man, is it bad here. You guys were right. A long time ago, this was the manufacturing power of the entire region. Almost every manufactured product made in the USA had at least one part made from Rockford, Illinois. And now, it's abandoned factories and rundown hoods, as far as you can see. Seems like everything that was good here is now gone, just like it is in a lot of the Rust Belt. A once booming city that's been reduced to jokes and memes. So with all this talk about automation and overseas competition and the disappearing middle class, you have to wonder, is this our country's future?
Sad.
Picking the kids, you don't like you've been out of bed all day.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? You gotta teach the kids.
Calm down. We're solving the world's problems here.
This is a very
My name's Nick.
famous guy.
Yeah.
I caught him coming out of his car. I watch him on the internet all the time, and I'm like, I know that guy. So I jumped out of here and went next door.
So I was at this little Rockford casino trying to do some investigating. You know, I was sitting at one of the little machines, scoping the place out, getting a little video footage. I don't think they like people in these joints recording, so I was trying to be low key about it. And then Marvin barges in the door. He's like, my man, I saw you pull in. Hey everybody, that guy's YouTube famous. I was like, shit, I just got to Rockford. And there goes my cover. So anyway, we got to talking, and Marvin said, what are you doing in Rockford, Nick? And I'm like, why do you think I'm here? Then I asked him, is there anything good to talk about here, Marvin? I mean, is the place getting any better? And Marvin looked at me like I was crazy. Better?
Oops.
Spell land, mister.
My bad.
Loss of jobs, poverty, crime, run down shit. For the rest of this trip is gonna be bad. And look, the weather cooperated. It was all cold and gray and windy. just the way you like it. You YouTube sickos are gonna get your fix now. Because if there's one place that can best represent the decline of Illinois, it's Rockford.
True. Very true. My city is going downhill, y'all. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section. It's terrible.
All the songs sound the same for these Rust Belt cities, just different lyrics. Rockford's melody begins back in the 1930s. Back then, Rockford was on its way to becoming one of the manufacturing centers of the country. There were factories here churning out all these little specialty bolts and screws and fasteners that were used on everything from aircraft to toys. Things were going well during World War II. They couldn't make enough of those airplane bolts. There wasn't a single plane in the country that didn't have a bolt or screw made here. And then they started making them for cars. And then in the 50s, all the factories here started making machinery and hardware and tools and furniture. This was the second biggest furniture maker in the country for a long time. Everybody was making money and everybody was employed.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. And it went on for a long time.
And then it went
All the way until the 80s.
my era. Then it went downhill.
It is gone.
That's why I moved to Texas. Best choice I made, moving to Texas.
As you know, the 80s were a tough time in the U.S. We had a recession, and the Asians started competing. So a bunch of companies took their shit overseas. And Rockford went from one of our most important manufacturing centers to the most unemployed city in the country, people. 15,000 jobs were gone for good in just a short amount of time. 25% of people couldn't find work. They said for every job opening here, there were 87 people that applied. By the time the mid-80s came, Rockford people were lining up for welfare and food and health care. It was bad. The screw capital of the world. Then they got screwed. Looks like a lot of this stuff's been wrecked.
Sad. Almost want to make me cry how my city went downhill.
Watch is 911.
Look, terrible, man.
By the mid-2000s, Rockford began to get super ghetto. And then that recession hit, and by 2013, a third of the houses here were underwater. This was actually the underwater capital of the country back then. Just crazy. Rockford was the second biggest city in Illinois. Now it's the 5th biggest. A lot of people are leaving Illinois for other reasons. Cold, it's dangerous, and the taxes are what keeps companies from coming back here. Plus, the workforce here isn't very reliable. So there's some new car makers in town, and there's some pretty good aerospace jobs nearby, but that hasn't really done a lot for the quality of life here. I mean, the worst is over, but the damage has been done. Another abandoned factory.
Sad. That's Kishwaukee.
So I've shown you a bunch of abandoned crap. It's everywhere here. People weren't lying when they told me that everywhere you turn here, there's a vacant building. There's so many abandoned buildings here that the city's pissed off at all the banks who own them. They're like, can you guys please secure these buildings? They're causing all kinds of problems, and it looks like shit. And now it's just somewhere that people just go inside and do bad things in. Kind of ironic that the
former paint factory has graffiti inside, huh, everyone? They've had lots of better days. And this used to be an old watch factory. But time is up on that building. They're not making watches there anymore. I don't think people even wear watches anymore. Not watches that are made with care. All the watches people wear are made in China by little kids, not by hard-working Americans. $750 fine for feeding geese? What? Come on, Rockford. You got better shit to worry about.
The edges of downtown are pretty much wiped away. Looks like permanently, which sucks. You just kind of drive a block away from their main streets, and it's pretty bleak in almost all directions. They've done a pretty good job of keeping most of their downtown intact, though. That's good. There's some life to the place.
That's all.
You can tell the city's trying to keep a lot of this decent.
That's all they worry about is downtown Rockford.
It's all the bombs. I'm seeing homeless people. That's good.
So about 10 years ago, Forbes ran an article, and a lot of people were buzzing about it. They called Rockford the third most miserable place in the country, just behind Detroit and Flint. And those are some bad places. Well, people in town were like, that's bullshit. And the consensus around here was, hey, we're trying. We'll get better. Well, just a few months ago, Forbes ran another article that said, well, Rockford's getting better now. They said there's been hundreds of millions spent on fixing things up around here. Well, that explains why downtown looks pretty good. I mean, all this looks decent. But the neighborhoods, they are sketch. And the west side of Rockford is the bad side.
You know, you can't go to a bar around here because you might end up getting into a fight, or you can even go like to the Metro Center or the BMO. That ain't safe because you're going down to town Rockford. That don't mean anything. You know, people around here, I don't know. They're not together like they used to be. You know, it's just everybody's on their own thing, and there's no togetherness. You know, when I was growing up here, I'm from here. So when I was growing up here, Rockford was a pretty cool place to be. You know, but now we got a lot of outside influences too. You know, we got a lot of people coming from Chicago. You know, we got a lot of people coming from different places, you know, because they feel it's easy here.
True. Definitely
Here we
true.
are on the west side of Rockford that everybody says is terrible. It's pretty bad. I have to agree.
So before I left for the trip, I put a query out. Hey guys, I've never been to Rockford. What am I gonna see? And the responses were, it's bad. Junkies and bums wandering around, vandalism and drugs, trash and garbage everywhere, gunshots on the daily, home invasions, pedos, rapists. God. Then one guy told me, there's a black cloud that hangs over Rockford, Nick. That's mean. So I drove around for about a half a day, and it wasn't that bad. I've seen worse. So a lot of people in this part of town are broke. 14% of Rockford lives in poverty. And the average person here makes about $30K a year. And that takes into account that only about 1 in 3 people here who can work actually have a job. And then property taxes are $5K a year. So after that, the average person here only takes home about $1,500 a month. 70% of black males under the age of 30 here don't have a job. And most run streets and wind up in jail.
Sad.
But it's cheap. Look at all the houses that sold for under $10K in the last few years. God. $500. Just sold. Still see the moving box. $500. What does that say about Rockford? God.
Sad. That's what it says. Sad.
I read an article and it talked about hot housing markets. And then I saw, wait, Rockford is on that list? I was like, what the hell? And then as you read the article, you realize what's happening here is, yeah, homes are selling fast. It's because it's super cheap.
Right.
There's a lot of outside investors that are coming into Rockford and they're flipping the houses and then just basically turning them into slumlord rental units.
Yep.
I bet it's Wall Street and China. One day, hedge funds and Asians are going to own all of our crumbling cities.
You might be right, Mappy. One of the big reasons we have a housing shortage these days is because investment companies are buying up our housing stock. It's a safe investment for them.
If some Chinese guy tries to buy my house, I'll dare defend my rights.
Mappy, you can't stop China from buying your house with a gun. If you don't sell it to them, they can't buy it.
China's going to buy every house in the country so that we live in tents. Then they're going to give us COVID again. And we'll be wearing masks in our tents.
Okay, Mappy, that's enough. Too much Facebook stuff. So, I know you guys are a skeptical bunch. I read the comments. But did you know that your personal...
School Street for 1 mile.
School
The
Street.
roads here are terrible. I can't even hold the camera straight. It's like being in Jackson, Mississippi. Got some dude behind me. He's mad that I'm filming.
So you think the population here would be going down with all the stuff we've talked about. But Rockford's been close to 150,000 for 30 years now.
Yeah. Ever since I was little.
For every family that gets the hell out of here, some new family comes in from Chicago to take their place. Southside Chicago Light. Chicago's infecting the Midwest, just like California's poisoning the West.
And Texas.
It's an old elementary school. The schools are terrible here. Worst schools in the state that aren't in Chicago. And then I heard that they just turned one of their old schools into a police station. That says it all.
Rock River.
Nobody wants to drive the school buses here. So they just stopped delivering kids on some of the routes. They tried to offer people $2,000 to cover the bus routes. And they still had trouble getting people in the seats. How do the kids get to school? They walk?
Damn, they said the west side was bad. The south side is rough.
That's not the south side. That's behind Orton Keys Projects. That's not the south side.
Damn, think I found Trump land.
Sad.
There's a lot of gangs and violent crime here. You may not know it. Rockford's the 7th most violent city in the country right now. Look at that. Up there with the big boys. St. Louis, Detroit, Memphis, Milwaukee, and then Rockford. Way above Chicago. Some say it's like a war zone here some nights. They call it Glockford. Oh yeah, and they cut their police budget not too long ago. And then you might have heard about this. Some lunatic killed a bunch of people in a neighborhood that I had just driven through a month before.
Prayers.
Somebody told me it's like living in a wild west here, where people do what they want, say what they want, destroy what they want, live how they want, and the police do nothing to prevent it or stop it. God, where are we going in this country? So a few years ago, Rockford briefly made it to the list of the most dangerous cities in the country. One local website said, "Finally, Rockford's #1. Congrats." So a nurse emailed me. She used to live in Rockford, and she moved down to Texas. And she's like, "I gave out more Narcan in a week up in Rockford than I have my entire 9 years down here in Texas." What is happening? So right now I'm driving around in West Rockford, which everybody pretty much agrees is the worst part of Rockford. And it's cold. It's 40 degrees, not as windy as what I'm used to, but for the first day it's been cloudy, which is kind of fitting for this place. But I'm driving around and, you know, this is supposedly like the most dangerous neighborhood in Illinois. I've seen worse, you know. I wouldn't want to be out here at night, but maybe I'm just getting used to all this stuff. But to me, it doesn't really seem that bad. I mean, I'm getting some what's ups from people. Nobody really wants to be on camera. I get that. But Rockford's not very pretty. It's definitely run down. And there's sketchy people everywhere. I saw some high school kids out on the playground at about 1 o'clock on a Friday afternoon. I guess they don't have to be in school. But overall, you know, I'm just driving around here and checking stuff out. I can tell some people are starting to get up, so I should probably not be in here for too much longer, YouTube. Here's where the rich people live. Here's what the good side of Rockford looks like. I'm not going to spend too much time here because most of you don't like watching nice homes. It's weird. This is East Rockford, where things aren't so bad at all. I picked one of the wealthiest hoods to show you the far extreme. This is all a block away from a country club. It's on this side of town where they put the college. It's a little small place. They even have a football team. They have a big hospital here. That parking lot is full. I see a lot of this middle class stuff in big areas of town. It's just the West Side just gives the place just terrible reputation, and kind of all the idiots on the West Side dictate how the city goes in terms of its statistics. But a lot of Rockford's just hard-working, middle-class folks in little neighborhoods just like this. So it's not completely tragic. You can see that Rockford used to be charming. These houses are pretty neat, like Victorian-y, or whatever that was called. There's a little bit of that left here. You drive around in their little historic districts. Holding on for dear life, Rockford is. There's a lot of people at the pub. It's Friday, but it's the middle of the day. Look at that, where the Rockford Peach is played.
Women's professional baseball. Tell you what, I'm getting what I wanted out here. It is freezing cold. It's about 32, but this wind is blowing. And I'm in up by where the Rockford Peaches used to play. And it's just in some, used to be important part of downtown. But it's all abandoned pretty much everywhere now around here. On the south end of Rockford. It's rough down here. And the cold and the gray makes it even more miserable. I wouldn't want to live here, I'll tell you that. Slots. And what's there to do for fun here? Smoke weed and gamble. A lot of these people don't have the extra money for that, but that's what they spend it on. As soon as you come into Rockford, you see all these little casinos everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Looks to me like whenever something shuts down in one of these little strip malls, it's going to be a video gaming place soon. There's another one. There's a chain of video poker places. There's dotties all over this dang town. So that's where I met Marvin, in one of those little local casinos. Super cool guy. We agreed on politics and just about everything. Felt like I knew the guy forever. I saw many sketchy people going in and buying scratchers at this place when I was filling up gas. So I went in and, what? The $30 and $50 ones, those were sold out. The cheap ones weren't. Who spends $50 on a scratcher? Where do they get the money? That's a lot of dough for me, and I'm an internet celebrity. And then outside of casinos, I had to check out the dispensary scene, you know, for research purposes. Closed?
Hello, Hockey Weed Company.
Hey, are you open today?
Hey, we are.
Yay, I'm coming. No, I don't do pot. I'm drug-free. But for research purposes, I have to find out how these people live. What do they do? What do they consume? What keeps them going? What keeps them full of life? Pot does. Finally found one that was open. The place was pretty sorry. I don't think I've ever seen a dispensary with such little product. But I found something cheap so I could show you guys what you get for 25 bucks in Illinois. A weed candy bar, everyone. I've never heard of such a thing. I wanted to know what it tasted like, but drugs are bad. I'm straight edge.
Yeah, don't do
I
them.
did it for you, too. Made me feel kind of funny inside. Shit.
Did you know Illinois people spend the third most on marijuana every year?
I did not know that, Mappy. I thought it had been people on the West Coast that smoked all the weed.
I think it's mostly people in Chicago. They smoke pot all day and don't work.
There's abandoned everywhere here.
Midway Theater. Sad.
I don't know what that is. That's gone. This part of town looks like shit. Outsourcing jobs, overseas competition, automation, corruption, drugs, crime, laziness, and just don't give a shit. And you get this. You gotta wonder, how many more Rockfords are on the horizon, huh? Back in the 90s, Money Magazine called this the worst place in America many times. Well, either this place has gotten better or other places have got worse, because
This isn't the worst place in the country, and I've seen way worse. But you have to wonder, what does it all mean? Back when Rockford crashed, everybody here was saying it's because of changes in technology. Well, is that where this country's headed again? All the latest headlines are about this tech boom we're seeing and how 40% of workers are going to be replaced by technology. I heard robots are going to replace 2 million people in manufacturing in just 5 years. So you have to ask, is Rockford, Illinois, our future? Is this where we're all headed?
So I still love it. I love Rockford. Don't get it messed up. This is home. But my home is not like it used to be. You know?
When did it change?
I would say, to me, early 2000s when it really started changing. To me, it's when it really started changing. Maybe I was growing up more, you know, but in the 2000s, it wasn't any. You don't know your neighbor. When I grew up, I knew my whole neighborhood. Nowadays, you don't even know your neighbor. You know, and a lot of them aren't even sociable to even get to know you. You know? So how do you, I like that feeling because it's safer when the whole neighborhood is together.
Was it the loss of jobs and all the stuff that started it because it used to be the manufacturing? And a lot of other cities have the same problem.
Yeah, manufacturing, yeah, everything pretty much closed. You know, Chrysler was the biggest thing. Yeah. Now, all those people are out of jobs. You know, it was already a strain on factory work around here, like you said, because everything's closing down. So I don't even know what those people are doing. And there was a lot of people at Chrysler. But now they're going to open it up to the battery factory for electric. But that's like 4 years from now. What are people going to do for the next 4 years? Mm-hmm. You know, so I don't know. I'm on my way out. I'm on my way out. Yeah, I'm moving to Texas, man. Oh. Yeah, I'm moving to Texas. It's a young kid, but it's really the parents of the kids. If some of these parents start paying some of these dues, I bet you they'll make kids straighten up. I'm gonna give you an example. Just my daughter went to Conklin Elementary School. They had a parents' day to come in and help their kids read. Nobody showed up but me. Class of 32 kids. The teacher had to call her 2 daughters to come in to help. Mm-hmm. Now, when I went and got her after school, you know what I saw? House shoes and hairnets. Picking the kids. You don't like you've been out of bed all day. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying?
We're just talking about the problem with young kids and what the solution is for the crime.
Parenting.
Parenting.
See, it's simple. Watch your kids, and I'll watch mine. Then we'll be okay. But when you want your teachers to watch your kids, it's something bad about that. She's not there to watch your kids. He's there to teach your kids math, arithmetic. You know, they're not there to be their parents. Or your daycare. We know you allow you to drop them off for daycare. Don't do that. And help them with their homework.
Are you looking to move and need advice? I do consulting.